Okay, Marco, if you could tell me, well, first of all, sustainable architecture, how does architecture fit into the debate on climate change?
I think that today the sustainable architecture is not an option, it's the strategy for the future. And so for an architect today it's not possible to select or take a decision if follow the sustainable way or not follow. I think is the future. And so it's completely intelligent. I think it's part of the knowledge. Follow the idea that today is necessary save a lot of energy, because 35% of the energy that we used in the world we use for living, for housing, for the architecture. And so all the architects, each architect in the world have this mission: save energy and create architecture that don't use a lot of energy, and they use natural elements like wind, sun, and the energy that comes from the land.
Okay, you've worked here in Rio de Janeiro. Can you give me an example of something you've done here in a fast-developing, a fast-growing city that you've worked on here in Brazil?
I think that Brazil, in a certain way, is in a country that discovered the sustainable strategy recently. Also because the climate is not so strong. For example, in Italy, we have the winter, we have 10 degrees under zero or 40 degrees in summer. And so the problem of climate for us is strong. And we spend incredible quantity of energy for create comfort inside the building. And so I think now also in Brazil this problem is important, because I think in the world this problem is important. And I think that here in Rio we have a strong debate about the problem of sustainability, and I think also that the Italian and the European country in this field have a strong knowledge. First of all, because in the European situation is hard today. We have big crisis, and so it's not an option for us selected if use local and poor material. For us now it's necessary to use that one. And so we build our building with a poor material, local material, in sustainable way, don't use energy. And so also the crisis help us to think that architecture is necessary, that we follow the sustainable strategy, sustainable way. It's not an option, I repeat.
So what are some of the poorer materials you mentioned that you might be using somewhere like Italy? How is architectural design changing because of the economic crisis?
Yeah, the design changed because today is necessary to use knowledge, and especially from the past. Because during the Renaissance we don't have energy, electricity, but in the same time we have fantastic building, fantastic palace, where in summer we have comfortable situation, comfortable climate inside the building. And so it's necessary to learn from the past and think for the future. And so I think that in this moment the country that have a long history have also long knowledge for think that it's possible to think architecture without energy, without electricity.
Do you find a country like Brazil, especially Brazil, is open to new and innovative ideas because of its architectural history? I'm thinking of Oscar Niemeyer especially. Is it more open to ideas that you might come along with because of the pioneering work of Mr. Niemeyer?
I think that Brazil is totally open. The architecture of Oscar Niemeyer learned us a lot of things, and especially that it's important to use that architecture is not only an artistic vision, it's also an activity, intellectual activity that first of all respect the social problem, the social question. The social question of today is respect the environment. And so I think that if we follow the lesson of Oscar Niemeyer, we respect the environment, we respect tradition, and we respect modern vision if we save a lot of energy and we think in a sustainable way.
From what you're saying, it sounds like a very exciting time to be an architect internationally.
Yeah, I think this time is an exciting period. For example, we work a lot in China. And China is in a country that create a lot of carbon emission. China produce the one of the most quantity, not the incredible quantity of carbon emission. I think that in the same time, China is the country that spend a lot of energy for sustainable strategy. And so I think for an architect of today, the situation open a lot of strategy, a lot of research, a lot of opportunity. For this reason, I think that this period is an interesting period for an architect.